Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordan and welcome to today's video where we are talking about all of the books I am so excited are coming out in the next quarter. So all of my anticipated releases for April, May, and June we are talking about. I have over 25 of them. There is a wide range of genres. Probably the most are mystery thrillers, but I've also got some romance in here, some sci-fi, and a few that I don't really know anything about. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I am going to scoot over so I have some room to pop up the covers. I'm going to go in order of expected publication. So let's start in April and the first book being released on April 4th. The Scourge Between Stars by Ness Brown is a sci-fi / horror blend about a doomed generation ship harboring something terrible. I think sci-fi horror is something I could possibly get into in the future. I haven't read a ton of it, but this book sounded really interesting when I heard Jesse on YouTube talking about it. I believe this is a non-binary author, and it looks like possibly a debut book. So this is one on the list that I don't know a ton about, but I am eager to look more into it and to see if it's something that I would enjoy reading. Then on April 18th, we have one of my most anticipated books of this entire year. It is Symphony of Secrets by Brendan Slocum. This author wrote The Violin Conspiracy, which was one of my favorite mysteries of last year. I love that he incorporates music into mystery thrillers because he does have a classical music background. And I don't really need to know anything about this book, but it does say that this book is about a professor who uncovers a shocking secret about the most famous American composer of all time, that his music was stolen from a young Black composer. So this professor is looking to right those wrongs, correct history, and I believe I actually won a Goodreads giveaway for this book, so I should be getting it sent to me, which is amazing, and I will be reading it as soon as I can get it in my hands. Also releasing on the 18th is a book called If I See You Again Tomorrow by Robbie Couch. This appears to be a speculative young adult romance about a teen stuck in a time loop that's endlessly monotonous until he meets the boy of his dreams. That has all my buzzwords. I love time loops. I can enjoy a good young adult romance, especially when it's LGBTQIA, and this cover I'm in love with. So I am checking this book out for sure. And then we've got 4 books releasing on April 25th. So the first is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This is a mystery thriller, highly anticipated by a lot of people in this community because this author wrote No Exit, which was a super fast-paced thriller. I also loved it. I actually have an arc of this one, so I'm excited to be reading it in March. And it sounds like it's about an author who goes after a reviewer who leaves a bad review of their book. So definitely some commentary, I'm hoping, within there about reviewer-author interactions. I can't wait for it. And another widely anticipated book also coming out on the 25th is Happy Place by Emily Henry. Do I have to say anything about this book? It's an adult contemporary romance. I believe this is the fake dating trope. Emily Henry is really well known for her adult contemporary romances that include a lot of banter between the characters, and each one that she's written so far kind of has a different romantic trope associated with it, and I'm excited to see how this one plays out. And this is probably my favorite cover out of all of her books. Also coming out on the 25th is a little bit lesser known of a book called Ascension by Nicholas Binge. This says it's a mind-bending speculative thriller in which the sudden appearance of a mountain in the middle of the Pacific Ocean leads a group of scientists to a series of jaw-dropping revolutions that challenge the notion of what it means to be human. Sounds fun. Speculative thriller could really work for me, depending what direction it goes. I believe I saw this book on NetGalley maybe for the first time. I don't have a copy of it, but I was intrigued by the cover and the description. Similarly, the last book I have written down for April is called Star Splitter by Matthew J. Kirby, also releasing on April 25th. This is a young adult science fiction book that says, crash landed on a desolate planet light years from Earth, 16-year-old Jessica Mathers must unravel the mystery of destruction all around her. Last year I did a whole dedicated video to space books, and I found some real winners in there, so I want to read more from that genre. And this one looked fun. Getting into May, I have 10 books that I am anticipating. The first is another very popular one called Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. This author wrote Every Summer After last year, which was a really fun friends to lovers second chance romance set at a lake. This one appears to also be set at a lake. I actually don't know anything about the plot itself, but I don't need to. I'm definitely reading this author's follow-up book. This cover is gorgeous. It's going to be the perfect summer read. Also coming out on May 2nd is No Two Persons by Erica Bauermeister. I think I saw this book through a publisher who was sending out like forms you can fill out to receive ARCs. I haven't received an ARC of it, but I was curious about this book. It looks to be just a standard contemporary book, and it is classified as a book about books. It says 1 book, 9 readers, 10 changed lives. So I believe it follows different characters who all read the same book, and I think they're interconnected in some way. Could either work for me or not, depending on where the story ends up going, but it sounds interesting enough for me to give it a try. Moving on to May 9th, we have The Boyfriend Candidate by Ashley Winstead. Ashley Winstead has written a few books, and they've all been very different genre-wise. She's only written one other contemporary romance before, and it had very heavy political undertones, and I actually really enjoyed it. It sounds like this is going to be the same way. I don't think this is a sequel of that first book she wrote, but it appears to have some kind of political undertones as well. Also on May 9th, we have You Don't Have a Shot by Raquel Marie. This is a young adult contemporary romance centered around soccer players. Raquel Marie wrote Ophelia After All, which was one of my favorite books of last year, I think last year, and a cute, queer, young adult sports romance. Sounds right up my alley, so I'm sure I will think it's adorable. Also on May 9th, we have Adrift by Lisa Brideau. I do have a copy of this book on NetGalley. That's how I originally heard about it. It appears to be a thriller about a main character who wakes up alone on a sailboat in the remote Pacific Northwest with no memory of who she is or how she got there. Love it. I don't need to hear anything more. I hope this is fast-paced, and I can't wait to find out more about that situation. And then the last book that I have on May 9th is called No One Needs to Know by Lindsay Cameron. I was very pulled in by this cover. I love the colors of it. The description, I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about the book, but I will still talk about it. It says, when an anonymous neighborhood forum gets hacked, the darkest secrets of New York's wealthiest residents come to light, including some worth killing for. It sounds like it could lean very domestic, and domestic thrillers are not my favorite type of thrillers, but I'm also the type of reader who's like, if I'm a little bit interested, I want to read it for myself. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. On May 23rd, we have a new release by Liv Constantine called The Senator's Wife. Liv Constantine wrote The Last Mrs. Parrish, which I didn't love, but it's because I had read that trope before, and where it ended up going I found pretty predictable. But a lot of other people really love that book, and so Liv Constantine remains on my radar. What is it about? I have no idea, but Senator's Wife makes me think it probably also will be a domestic thriller and maybe also have some political undertones. I am definitely down for that if that is the case, but we will see. Releasing on May 25th is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is again on a lot of people's anticipated lists because R.F. Kuang is a highly renowned author. So far she has written adult fantasy books, so I haven't picked any of them up, though from what I hear she is just so intelligent in how she crafts her novels. And this one sounds like it's a contemporary book, possibly with a little bit of a mystery in it, about an author who is claiming to have written a book and is claiming to be of Asian descent. It sounds the most up my alley of any of the books she's written, so I'm jumping on it. I'm gonna read it. I'm hoping for some good commentary, and I also love yellow books. So moving on to May 30th, a book I'm very excited about is called Drowning by TJ Newman. This author wrote a book called Falling about a pilot who was flying a plane and he got a call. He was told his family was being held hostage and he either had to crash the plane or they would kill his family. That was a really fun thriller, and this author was a flight attendant before writing books, so it seemed like she had some inside knowledge about how that all works. And it sounds like this one is another airplane thriller about a plane that crashes into water. So sounds fun, hoping it's as fast-paced as her first one. And then the last book that I have releasing in May, also on the 30th, is The New Mother by Nora Murphy. This says it is a fresh new twist on motherhood and murder in suburbia. Again, domestic, not sure how that's gonna work, but I am always interested to read books with commentary on motherhood. I am a mother, so I'm particularly interested in that, and I'm excited to see what this thriller does with that. Definitely giving me vibes so far of The Push. And now let's move into June, where I also have 10 books I'm excited for. The first one is called Speak of the Devil by Rose Wilding. I love the cover of this one. This one says, all of us knew him, one of us killed him. 7 women stand in shock in a seedy hotel room. A man's severed head sits in the center of the floor. Each of the women, the wife, the teenager, the ex, the journalist, the colleague, the friend, and the woman who raised him, has a very good reason to have done it, yet each swears she did not. That is a great synopsis. I am very intrigued. Can't wait to read this one. Then let's talk about The Whispers by Ashley Audrain. I just mentioned The Push, which is a book that this author wrote. This one is coming out on June 6th. And it says it's a propulsive page-turner about 4 families whose lives are changed when the unthinkable happens and what is lost when we give in to our own worst impulses. It looks like this one is going to be dark, which The Push is very dark, goes into motherhood. This one also seems to have family dynamics and dark scary, unthinkable situations. I am definitely excited for this one. All right, my battery is flashing. Let me replace that. All right, I am so glad that I got myself an extra battery because I am rapidly losing daylight here and did not have time to wait for that to charge. Now, where was I? I think the next one I have to talk about is called The Puzzle Master by Danielle Trussoni. This one releases on June 13th. I think I saw a review about this from someone on Instagram, and to be honest, I didn't need to know anything about the book other than the name, The Puzzle Master. I love games and puzzles in books. But let's read a little bit of the synopsis that says, reality and the supernatural collide when an expert puzzle maker is thrust into an ancient mystery. Love it. Can't wait. All my buzzwords. Also releasing on June 13th is The Drowning Woman by Robin Harding. I think I've only read one book by Robin Harding, though she has written several thrillers. I think I read The Swap, which I didn't love, but Robin Harding is just such a popular name in the thriller world that she's pretty much always on my radar, and this book's cover is very intriguing to me. Scary. It appears to be about a woman fleeing a dangerous past. Then a third book releasing on the 13th is called She Started It by Cian Gilbert. This appears to be a debut thriller, and it says it's a hot, twisty summer debut thriller about a group of young women whose Caribbean bachelorette party takes a sinister turn. It's Lord of the Flies meets And Then There Were None, but with Instagram and too much Prosecco. Could be fun. I'm willing to give it a try. Moving on to June 20th, we have some very exciting releases. Probably the most notable is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. Do I need to say anything about Riley Sager? Probably not. Super popular thriller author. I have really enjoyed almost everything that he's written. And honestly, after The House Across the Lake, I am just not sure what to expect from him, and I love that. Similarly, 0 Days by Ruth Ware also comes out that day. Another very popular thriller author. She writes a little bit more mystery, I would say, than thriller, and it's been hit or miss for me with her books, but enough people will be buzzing about this one that I'm definitely going to pick it up. It sounds like this one might be even more thriller. It says Ruth Ware returns with this adrenaline-fueled thriller that combines Mr. and Mrs. Smith with The Fugitive, about a woman in a race against time to clear her name and find her husband's murderer. If it's as fast-paced as this synopsis is pitching, this could be the perfect Ruth Ware for me. Also releasing on June 20th is The Spare Room by Andrea Bartz. This author wrote We Were Never Here, which was a pretty standard, average mystery thriller for me, but love the cover of it. Also really enjoy the cover of this one with the pastel kind of rainbowy colors. It looks like it's about a woman who stays with her friend and her friend's husband. And it says it's more intimate and dangerous than anyone could imagine. Who knows? We'll give it a try. And then the last book releasing on June 20th is called A Fatal Affair by A.R. Torre. I have only read one book by A.R. Torre, though they have written several. I read The Good Lie and was really impressed with it as a thriller. It was the type of thriller that came together really nicely at the end and very like puzzle piecey. And I love a thriller that has layers to it, so I have high expectations for this author going forward, and I may choose to pick up more from their backlist. This one says, actress Nora Kemp loves two men. One is Hugh Iverson, a philanthropic movie star who gives Nora security and respectability. The other is Hugh's twin brother, Trent, a Hollywood bad boy who brings out Nora's wild side. Interesting, a thriller with a little bit of a love triangle. I can get behind that. And then the very last book that I have to talk about in this whole video comes out on June 22nd, apparently. Though it doesn't have a cover or anything, so I'm a little bit skeptical about whether it's actually going to come out, but so far it's listed as Midnight by Amy McCulloch. This author wrote Breathless, which was a thriller I really enjoyed last year that was set in the mountains and was a fun murder mystery. This one appears to be a murder mystery set on an Atlantic cruise, which is very fun. Very interesting that this is another cold weather book being released in the middle of summer. Breathless also was that way. It was released in May, and I thought it was an odd choice because I would think like a January, February release would make more sense, but I don't really care. I'm gonna pick it up either way, so maybe that's what everyone is thinking. And so if this comes out in June, I will be picking it up. So those are all of the books I have listed as coming out in the next 3 months. Please let me know if there's anything I forgot, or if you have any anticipated releases in the thriller, sci-fi, or romance genres that you think I might be interested in. Definitely let me know so I don't miss them. And also let me know, of course, if you're also anticipating any of the ones that I did mention. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.